Well, Nancy, I get to indulge in my sport now at the top of this show this week because some big news came out of the European Eventing Championships. And it's not a sport that you've been anyway involved with. Have you followed it at all?
Not too much. I mean, obviously, as I'm sure you'll go into, it's Britain are very successful at it. But I haven't, and obviously as well the Olympics, but I haven't really, aside from that, I've written a few news stories about it when I was inside the games, but I haven't really had a chance to watch too much.
Yeah, it really was a fantastic week for them. It was the European Championships, which have fallen because of COVID, Nancy. We've got them in the same year as the Olympics, which doesn't usually happen. It happens on alternate years. But anyway, they went to Avranches in Switzerland, which is a beautiful part of Switzerland. And the Germans, of course, are always our main competition, but the Brits absolutely stole the show. They won all of the medals. And I'm thrilled for the individual gold medalist. That's Nicola Wilson. She's been a team member for years. And it was really her time to win the gold, the individual gold. She's won a number of team medals. And I think she's had an individual silver in the past. But anyway, she won gold and Piggy March came second. She won the silver. And the individual, one of our individual riders, Sarah Bullimore, who's also been on the team on thereabouts for years, she took the bronze medal. And the Germans couldn't beat us this time. So, it really was a fantastic result. I think... this is something that, as I said, there's a sport that we as British, I'm wearing my British citizenship hat here, we really excel. And this is the 7th time in its history of the European Championships where we've won all of the medal. I think the last time was 1991. So congratulations to all of them, all female team, just coincidentally. I mean, it's a sport where men and women compete equally, as you know. But the Brits were fantastic. And I mean, credit to Nicola, who broke her neck a couple of years ago. I think it was June 2019. She was riding in a lower level competition and broke at least 2 vertebrae in her neck, if not 4. So she had a bit of a setback. And the horse that she was, rode in Avranches, of course, he got a bit of a longer rest than anticipated. But anyway, she came back, got over a broken neck, and she's now the new European Championships champion. So congratulations to all of those women who competed in Avranches. So, gold all the way, Nancy.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an incredible story as well. What a comeback from a horrific injury. So, yeah, amazing. And, yeah, it's always nice to see Britain do well in sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And we've always been pretty good at equestrian sport. We've got a tremendous heritage there and tradition and reputation. And so good for them. So that's my top story this week. And you've got some tennis stories to start with too, don't you?
Yep, so a few stories in the world of tennis. The first is Ash Barty has withdrawn from Indian Wells, which is the tennis tournament starting next week. It's not a Grand Slam, but it is kind of one of the bigger tournaments outside the Grand Slam. And it kind of starts, I think a lot of players use it to try and get into the top 8 of the world rankings to then compete in the WTA finals, which are in November. So Barty is withdrawn, and I think there's a bit of kind of doubt over her participation at the WTA finals as well. I mean, as well, number one, she's kind of definitely qualified, but she had that break in 2020 from tennis because of the pandemic, because Australia's very, very locked down. There's not a lot of travel in and out. She didn't really play at all. And then at the start of this year, made the decision that I'm going to have to go and just leave Australia for a very long period of time if I want to compete. So she's done that, and her coach has said that she's quite keen now to get home. So if she was to compete at the WTA finals, which is taking place in Mexico, if she went home now, for a little bit for a holiday, she would have to do a 2-week quarantine upon arrival in Australia, leave again to play at the WTA finals, go back to Australia, have another 2-week quarantine, and then start preparing for the Australian Open. So I think that kind of heavy schedule, obviously she's had a very busy year, kind of constantly been on the road. It would have definitely been worth it because she won Wimbledon, of course. But I think it sounds like, according to her coach anyway, that her place at the WTA finals is a bit of a doubt. And I think the fact that she's withdrawn from Indian Wells as well suggests that it might be the end of her season now. But I think she fully deserves a rest, to be honest. She's been, to be away from home for so long is a big thing. And yeah, she's been at every tournament basically this year, hasn't she?
Yes. And it is tough for them with COVID, isn't it? Travelling now is just nothing like it used to be. You have to wonder if it will ever get back to normal. But when you've got a schedule like these professional athletes have, it's very disruptive. You've got to plan a lot more carefully, haven't you? Yeah,
exactly. And, obviously we've seen I think Barty's been relatively lucky in that she's not managed to catch COVID, but we've seen with a lot of tennis players as well, players having to miss out because they've tested positive for COVID. I think around the Olympics, there were quite a few players who missed out then. So yeah, you've got the scheduling, you've got the testing, you've got the potentially having COVID and missing tournaments and the long-term impact that illness can have on you. So yeah, I think it's a really difficult period to not just tennis, kind of all sport, really.
All sports, yeah, for sure. Because they're used to being on the road, on and off. They're traveling every month. It's for some sports they're on the road most of the time, aren't they? And international competition is normal for them. So yeah, pretty hard on them to schedule. But your other story, actually talking about having difficult times and also coming from Japan, from the Pacific there, and Naomi Osaka is talking about coming back. I suppose she'll have to plan it carefully, just like Ash Barty's doing.
Yeah, so she's had a bit of a break after the US Open. So she went out in the third round. She lost to Leila Fernandez, who eventually went all the way to the final. So at the time, it was a bit of a shock. But then I think seeing how well Fernandez did, it was actually maybe a bit more understandable. But yeah, she also struggled at the Olympics, which was a home Olympics for her. So I imagine that was quite disappointing. So after that period, she said she was going to have a bit of a break from the court. But she's kind of sounded more positive about coming back. I think last time it was, she was like, I'm not sure when I'm going to come back. But now she said that she knows she's going to play again and that the return would be probably soon. She said, I kind of have that itch again. It wouldn't really matter to me if I won or lost. I'd just have the joy of being back on the court.
Well, that's a different attitude, isn't it, to what she's had?
Yeah, really different attitude. So I think that's quite positive. It obviously sounds like, she's taken a bit of time out and regained her love for it. Probably by not playing, she's realised how much she does love tennis. So, yeah, hopefully I don't know whether we will see her kind of at any tournament before the Australian Open, because obviously it gets a bit, Indian Wells, we'll see if she's there next week, and then the WTA finals as well. But yeah, Australian Open, she is still the defending champion. So I imagine she's kind of gearing towards defending her title there.
Yeah. Well, did you see that Emma Raducanu, our US Open champion, she's back at work and she's also switched to one-handed backhand. That was what she decided during her time off. Not that it was much time off, but her little time away there. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah. And yeah, she's going to be another at Indian Wells next week as well. But I don't think she's been given a wild card, so I think she's going to go through qualifying, which is...
She's quite good at that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe some other players would be a bit miffed that they'd won the US Open and had to go through qualifying, but I imagine for her that seems to be the pathway to success. So,
but yeah, no, I thought she wasn't playing Indian Wells.
I thought she was, but just wasn't a wild card.
Oh, we'll have to check on that, won't we?
Yeah, I thought she pulled out of. There was another one, the Chicago tournament.
Yes. The Classic.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did you know that, the Belgian former number one, Kim Clijsters, she's now 38. She made her comeback at that Classic in Chicago earlier this week, but she got beaten by Su Tsai of the Chinese Taipei. She got actually in three sets. She got beaten quite... I think it was 6-3, 5-7, 6-3. So she put up a bit of a fight, but it was quite something to come back, with the kind of reputation that she had. I mean, Kim was usually popular on the tour, and she took a break to have a family, and I kind of retired. I didn't expect her to come back, but anyway, she decided she was coming back, and I knew she was coming back, but she chose the Chicago Full Tennis Classic this week to come back, but she got beaten in the opening round. She's a 4-time Grand Slam champion, Kim. She's got a tremendous track record. So it would be a bit intimidating, wouldn't it, to be playing her? So well done to Say for beating her in the first round there. So yeah, that happened at the Classic, which I know you mentioned Emma had pulled out of, but I didn't think she was playing Indian Wells. We really will have to check up on that and set the record straight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty certain she is. So yeah, someone will have to do a forfeit next week. Whoever's wrong.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're going to move on to basketball here, because it's big news here in the States. When you mention Sue Bird, everybody knows Sue Bird over here, because she's a legend in the sport over here. Nobody's got a record like she has in the sport, period. But there's a bit of pressure on her from her fans anyway this weekend to make it one more year. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so this is after the WNBA playoffs, wasn't it? And her team, Seattle Storm, lost. So I think, she hasn't really confirmed when she's going to retire. But I think maybe because of her age, she's definitely coming to the end of her career. I think the fans at the game were concerned that it would be the last time they saw her. So yeah, they were all chanting one more year, weren't they? One more year, yeah. One more year.
And that was actually quite fun. She switched shirts with her old rival and, US teammate, Diane Taurasi, who was playing this weekend. So that was quite a moment for them. But Sue was saying she doesn't want to make it an emotional decision. Normally she just keeps going and she keeps going, but she's, of a certain age now in the sport. And also her fiancé, Megan Rapinoe, is getting closer to retirement too. They've got a wedding to arrange. So I guess all of that comes into the mix, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, if she doesn't want it to be emotional, it'd probably be a case of like a few weeks after kind of her season has ended, as opposed to, being in the emotion of playing and making a decision then. So yeah, I'm sure either way we will probably find out soon. But yeah, I think if she decided there on the court, it would be a very emotional decision.
Yes. It's always good to stand back, take time. All right, well, we're going to switch to football because that's inevitable. There's lots of news coming out of football, both sides of the pond now, because our season continues here at the NWSL. We've still got some great games to look forward to. And you've sort of kicked off with some, actually, it's quite exciting for the league over there in the UK now, because it used to be that it's like 4 teams that were, the main kingpins in the sport, but it looks like it's coming down to 2, Arsenal and Chelsea. Yeah,
it's for me anyway, as an Arsenal fan, it's going great. But I mean, yeah, it's very, very early days. We've only had 3 weekends of matches, so obviously in football anything can change. But Arsenal have won all 3 of their games, including matches against Chelsea and Man City, who finished 1st and 2nd last season. The game against Man City, we won 5-0. But it must be remembered that Man City have the longest injury list I've ever seen. They really have no players, and it's quite a lot of bad luck. It's all injuries that are completely varied. It's no one's fault. But it was a good time for Arsenal to play them. So, yeah, I'd say definitely Arsenal are definitely title contenders right now. But, we've still got 20 games to go and anything can happen, really.
Yeah, and we should mention that Tobin Heath spent a few minutes on making her debut for Arsenal.
Yep, she came on in the last 5 minutes. I think, again, it shows the depth that Arsenal have, that, they're 5-0 up and they can put on Tobin Heath. She'd just come back from international duty. So I think she'd literally arrived, did training for one day and then played those 5 minutes. So I'm sure we'll see her given much more game time. Potentially tomorrow, Arsenal playing Spurs in the FA Cup tomorrow. So might see her then. I mean, there wasn't much I could say about her performance because it was very brief. But yeah, looking forward to seeing her play more.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, even for us over here, we're excited to watch her playing more. There's some news though from Chelsea's manager, Emma Hayes.
Yeah, so this is about the Euros, which are taking place in England next year. And UEFA have announced that they've doubled the prize money for the tournament. So it's gone up from 16 million euros. Sorry, it's gone up from 8 million euros, which was available at the tournament in 2017. So for next year, it'll be 16 million euros. On face value, this does sound great. I mean, doubling the prize fund for a tournament is amazing.
Sounds like you're playing the piano there, Nancy, tapping away, just so that people know when they're listening to this. Well, what are they doing? It's
I'm not actually moving, so I'm not sure
Nancy
what that is.
Okay.
I'll try and stay super still.
There you go.
But when you compare the prize fund to the amount the men's teams get, so the men's Euros, which took place this year, had a 371 million euro prize pot. And just the winners of the Italy who won, they got 34 million euros alone. So I think that kind of comparison just shows that there's still massive disparity. It's great that UEFA have doubled the prize fund, but I'm not saying that, they should be getting, hundreds of millions of pounds for taking part, because that's kind of a bit grotesque. But I think it's quite difficult to just, say, the men's tournament is worth this much more than the women's. So Emma Hayes has basically said that. She said that it's not enough money. And then when you look at it relatively, it's nowhere near the amount of money that's needed. And former England manager Hope Powell as well, she said that it should be celebrated that it's been doubled. But when you compare it to the men's, it's still a million miles away from that. Still a bit of work to be done there.
We're looking forward to some more games before we wrap out the season over here. And one of those will be OL Reign's upcoming match this weekend with Portland, which is anticipated to probably be the game of the season. Portland and OL Reign, of course, are number 1 and 2 in the league right now. So that should be pretty exciting, especially, since it's a West Coast derby. But there's a bit of scandal over here with the Washington Spirit. I don't know if you've been following any of that. Now, one of the co-owners of the Washington Spirit is now calling on Steve Baldwin to sell the team. That's Michelle Kang. She's calling on him to sell the team because there's been an NWSL investigation into this, which is just wrapped up, about how toxic the workplace culture had become. And she had heard about a climate of fear and intimidation that's persisted for years there, and called it an archaic and hierarchical command and control mindset built on bullying. So all that's got to come to a head here pretty soon with that NWSL investigation. Once that's exposed, the findings of that, but the fact that she's trying to preempt those findings and calling on her co-owner there to sell the team. Did you see that, Nancy?
I did see that. Yeah, I've seen a bit of that in covered from American outlets, and yeah, it's just that I think there's been a kind of a few incidences of that with other teams as well, hasn't there?
Yes. Yes, there has. We know Kelly O'Hara, Andy Sullivan, they both play for Washington Spirit. It's my local team. It'll be sad. But if they have to sell it, they clearly do need to clean house. There's no doubt about it. But what's interesting, though, you haven't heard any of the players speak out about it. None of them.
Yeah, it's hard to know the motivations for that, isn't it? Maybe they, especially if there is the culture of fear, probably they might be concerned about maybe their place in the team or something like that. But yeah, no, it is interesting. Yeah.
Well, we'll have more news as that breaks, of course, when those findings are released. So we're going to move to netball now, Commonwealth sport, because there was a big upset in the netball test series between England and New Zealand, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. So, England travelled out to New Zealand to play the Kiwis in a 3-match series. Both teams are among the best in the world, but the New Zealand team is the very best. They won the last World Cup back in 2019. So I think New Zealand were they were hosting the tournament and they were favourites, and they did win the first match. But then England won the second match to take it to a third match, and then England won that subsequent match. I think it sounded very dramatic. I think England had to come back. They were down at half time. So they had to kind of completely turn it around. Yeah, they were trailing 24-21 at half time. So amazing. I think to come back against a team like that in both the deciding match and then the series as a whole was really impressive. So yeah, it's a good result for England.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well done to them. The Roses, England's Roses. Now, you have got an update on Afghan sportswomen as well, Nancy. This is a story that we continue to watch, of course, since the Taliban took over in Afghanistan a few weeks ago.
Yeah, so this is, kind of just a few more, we've kind of covered football and cricket, and there's been stories emerging from other sports as well. So the BBC have reported the stories of a number of the players from the Afghanistan women's volleyball team. Apparently there are about almost 30 players hoping to escape Afghanistan, and they're all fearing for their lives. The BBC spoke to one player, Zara Fayezi, who managed to flee to the UK about a month ago, and she said that the volleyball players had to kind of burn their sports equipment and certificates so that if the Taliban raided their house, they wouldn't get in trouble. And they've also been threatened and been told they're not allowed to do sport. The Telegraph as well did quite a similar story on Afghanistan's cyclists, female cyclists as well. And again, just very similar stories there. So some people have managed to flee, but then they're really concerned about their former, teammates still within the country, and they're being told to burn everything and just hide in the provinces so that they don't get kind of hunted down by the Taliban. So, yeah, just a very sad state of affairs. And we've seen a number of sportswomen from Afghanistan evacuated in recent weeks. So hopefully some of these sportswomen can also get out to another country and continue playing sport.
Yeah, because they really are in serious danger there, and their lives are being threatened. And I did read in that BBC story that one of them had actually been killed. One of the volleyball players had been killed. Yeah, so one of the players that had escaped to the UK said that one of her former teammates had been shot by the Taliban. Well, they thought it was the Taliban, and she, the woman says there were no other groups that would do that. They were really shocked about it and concerned that they'll lose other friends the same way. So I think, when you hear stories like that, it just does really emphasize that it's a very, very precarious position they're in. And I just hope they can all stay safe. Yeah, very much so. Well, we're going to turn to gymnastics for our penultimate story this week, and an article that's been published on thecut.com about Simone Biles, of course, the US gymnast, arguably the greatest of all time. And of course, she had a very, very tough time in Tokyo, as we know. But she's now saying that she should have quit way before Tokyo.
Yeah, so I think she's been for the background as well. It's kind of, she's been involved with this sexual abuse case. The former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar was found guilty about 4 or 5 years ago of sexually abusing over 300 girls and women, including Biles. So I think initially at first she didn't really put her name out there as a survivor, but she then went public with it. So I think that kind of background to it, I think she'd always said that she wanted to continue competing because she was kind of the last one left of that generation that had been abused by Nassar, and she didn't want to stop kind of holding USA Gymnastics to account. So in this interview, she did have a tough time at Tokyo. She had something called the twisties, which means you kind of physically, you've got a mental block that stops you performing physically. And she kind of just ran through everything that happened, saying that the fact that Tokyo was held in with a lot of COVID restrictions in place, so she was by herself. She didn't have friends and family with her. There was kind of periods of isolation where you were just by yourself. And she said she kind of got more and more nervous, and then qualified for all the finals. But then it was at that point that in training she just couldn't really do anything. But then still went out for the team final, and then as we saw, didn't do well on the vault. And she said that it was a miracle that she landed on her feet, and that if it was any other person, they would have gone out on a stretcher. And as soon as she landed the vault, she just said to her coach that she couldn't continue. And then, she went on to kind of say that she probably should have quit before Tokyo and shouldn't have really made the Olympic team. So she said, if you looked at everything I've gone through for the past 7 years, I should have never made another Olympic team. I should have quit way before Tokyo when Larry Nassar was in the media for 2 years. It was too much. But I was not going to let him take something that I've worked for since I was 6 years old. I wasn't going to let him take that joy away from me. So I pushed past that for as long as my mind and my body would let me. So she's essentially saying there that I think by the time it got to the Olympics, her mind and her body wasn't really letting her do gymnastics anymore. I think that also sounds probably that she's maybe quite close to retirement as well. I don't think that sounds like someone that necessarily wants to continue doing gymnastics. I
think she's going to do an exhibition tour, isn't she? She's leaving shortly.
Yeah, I think she's doing. I think that started. I think that started like this week. Yeah, so she is doing that, but that seems quite. I know she's had a lot of creative control over it, hasn't she? So I think that's kind of it seems to be a bit of a passion project for her.
Yeah, so. Exactly, like exec producer for it. But I'm sure she wants to go out of the sport on her terms too, after what she's been through.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's probably why she's frustrated by what happened at the Olympics, because she would have probably wanted to have gone out on better. Obviously, a bronze medal was great, but, she'd been fully there, fit, ready to compete. She probably would have gone home with 4 or 5 gold medals. So I imagine that might be quite frustrating for her. So potentially maybe that's why she does want to, if she does go to Paris, maybe that's why, or maybe she'll wait for a world champs or something like that.
I don't see her going to Paris, but we'll see. I mean, she's 24 now, isn't she? So
yeah, 24. So another 3 years. That's quite old for a gymnast.
It is,
27.
Isn't it?
Yeah, so
it is.
But we'll see.
We have one final story this week, and it comes from US Ski and Snowboard. They've announced the appointment of Sophie Goldschmidt as the organisation's next president and CEO, and she has a tremendous track record in sports leadership, does Sophie, and I'm hoping to have a chat with her on a show in the next days and weeks. I know she's relocating from LA to Park City, Utah, so she's a bit busy at the moment, but I don't know if you've read about her, because she has a fantastic resume in sports sports leadership. She was CEO of the World Surf League. And prior to that, she's held executive positions at the National Basketball Association, the Women's Tennis Association, the Rugby Football Union, Chime Sports Marketing, and the PGA European Tour and Adidas. So tremendous amount of experience that she brings to that role. And I want to hear, what her plans are for it, because, of course, the US is a powerhouse when it comes to any snow sports. And we're leading up to Beijing and the Olympics in February. So hopefully I'll be able to have a chat with Sophie in the coming days. So that really wraps up our stories this week. But it's not all of the news, because the main news is that our friend Nancy Gillen here is about to, really this should have been the headlines, that you are about to run in the London Marathon in 5 days' time, as we record this on a Tuesday. In 5 days' time, you're going to be out there with the best in the world, Nancy. And I know you're excited. Are you nervous?
I don't really think I'm nervous. I don't know. I don't really get nervous about this kind of thing. I think maybe if I hadn't prepared very well, or if I'd say had a bit of an injury while I was preparing and I was coming back from it and I wasn't 100% sure of myself, I'd be nervous. But yeah, I wouldn't really say nervous. I'd say just pretty excited, really.
Nervous, excited, anticipation of it all. And now you leave at a very decent hour, didn't you say 10-something British summer time? So there's a local time, that's a pretty decent hour. You don't have to get up at dark 30, do you?
Yeah, no. So my start time is around 10:20. So yeah, I'm planning on leaving my house about 8:15. So I can get up at 7:15. So yeah, is not too bad, really. It's not, you hear some stories about people having to get up at 5, and that's not the case. So I might not be able to sleep because of excitement, but I should hopefully have quite a decent sleep before the big race.
Yeah, and I know you'll sleep afterwards. My goodness, all of that adrenaline, all that excitement when it's finally over. But it's a bit like a kid waiting for Christmas, you said. You really, really are looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's just, I think that anticipation of it, and, everything I'm kind of doing at the moment is gearing towards it. In terms of, what I'm eating and the running, and just think, I need to go down to the XL Centre to drop off my kit bag which I'm doing on Thursday. So it's just things like that, kind of getting prepared. And yeah, it's just kind of almost wanting it to be the day now, because it's kind of taken up so much of my life. But yeah, I want to get there now.
We're going to hear all about it next week on the show. We're going to be joined by Dr. Juliet McGrattan, who has been a regular on the network broadly. She's had her own show here with us, and she is a runner, and she spends a lot of time advising runners. Of course, she's a medical doctor, so she brings a unique perspective to it, and I'm sure, because she's so passionate about it, I think she runs almost every day in beautiful Yorkshire countryside. So she's going to talk to you about running. You don't need me. Maybe it should just be the Nancy and Juliet show.
Yeah, it'd just be great, I think, to just talk to someone about the experience. And if anything goes wrong, she'll probably just have said, I could have probably told you to avoid doing that or that, but hopefully it would have at that point all gone well. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I bet you are. Well, we want to wish you the very, very best of luck, Nancy, because I know we've talked about this every week on the show now for weeks since you started running back in the winter, it seems to me, months ago, preparing for this. And you've done it all on your own. You've not had a coach. You've figured it out on your own. And so I hope, hopefully the weather's kind. I know you've got a lot of family and friends supporting you along the way, and we'll look forward to hearing about it. So no doubt you'll tweet if you have the energy to tweet at the end of Sunday, so we'll know where you finished. Yeah, no, I'll definitely try and keep social media updated. I'm going to ask my sister or something to bring a battery pack so I can make sure my phone is charged and I can update everyone. There you go. All right. And post some photos as well. And we'll look forward to a thorough debrief with Dr. Juliet McGrattan next week here on the show. In the meantime, of course, you can read what Nancy's writing, follow her on social media. Just remind everybody, Nancy. Yes, my Twitter handle is Nancy_Gillen. My Instagram handle is Nancy Gillen _sport.
And then everything I write is on Give Me Sport Women, which is Give Me Sport W on Twitter.
All right. And we're at WiSP Sports, as always, on your social media channels, and wisports.com, where you'll find the show notes, links to all these stories that we discussed here on the show. They're right there at wisports.com. And a quick mention of a second series starting, the show, the Leo's Den show, with Naya Tapper, 2 US Olympians now. They've come back as Olympians from the US Rugby Sevens team. Naya Tapper and Ilona Ma. They're going to be starting up a second series of the Leo's Den on Friday of this week. And if you've been following Ilona Ma or either of them on Twitter, or at least Lo on TikTok, she became a TikTok queen in Tokyo. So they'll be talking about their Olympic experiences, of course, on this first episode. They're also going to have some guests during this season as well. So we're looking forward to that. That's the Leo's Den podcast, which you can subscribe to. You can subscribe to these shows individually on their own channels, on your podcast app, or on our main channel, WiSP Sports, where you'll find all of the shows. But again, wisports.com and at WiSP Sports is where you'll find us. So do drop us any messages and comments. We always look forward to hearing from you. Nancy and I will be back next week. Nancy, the best of luck. Take a deep breath and have a lot of fun.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I'll keep everyone updated on how I get on.